Hi everybody, I'm back today with a second video on how to make some pages for the Keepsake Insert Creator die sets. This time I'm going to use a different one. I'm going to use the Book of Special Memories one, just for a bit of a different shape. Okay. This one is a little bit different because it hasn't got a straight edge on top and bottom, so you've got to think a little bit differently with this one. So I've gone ahead and I've made a book exactly like I did before by cutting 2 up to that score line to make the spine, and then 4 more, cutting them quarter of an inch, sticking them together. But have a look back at my previous videos and you'll see how to make the base. So I'll be back in a second to start doing the first pages. So my first pages are going to be the same as I'd used before, which are just simply 2 pockets. But I'm going to show you again how I'm going to do it with some different measurements for a specific reason. Now, to make these pocket pages, the only die I'm using is this one. So I'll set the others aside. And what I've got are 2 pieces the same, which go on the back. Now these can be directional. If you've got wording or anything, that's fine. But the third piece, try to use a non-directional one, because we actually take this bit from here and flip it. So if these are directional, remember to cut one this way and one this way, otherwise it will be upside down. And I've cut 1 piece of cardstock. So first of all, I'm going to stick these 2 in. Now these are actually going to go in the back of my book. So the front and the back will be the same layout. So I'm just going to add some double-sided tape and some glue. I'm going to stick my first page in. Now I've got my pattern going upwards. Double-sided tape again. Making sure I'm taking my glue up to the edge. So somebody asked, why tape and glue? Well, it's because I'm working to the camera. The tape will hold it down for now, but the glue will keep it there for longer. So we've got our 2 background pieces in. Now I'm going to take my decorative piece and I'm going to cut this, putting the straight edge against the top. And you haven't got a straight edge here, so I'm going to mark this corner and this corner up against the 2-inch mark. Hold it down and cut. Now to get the other piece, I'm simply going to flip it over. Again, line them up with the 2-inch marks and cut. Now today, I'm going to be saving this piece for the next project. Next page. So I'm going to bring in my piece of cardstock and I'm going to glue it down. And take the other one. And glue this one here. Yeah. And either use a guillotine, or if you've got a knife and a ruler, just line it up on the decorative paper and cut. And that's left me with a thin border, which will just protect my paper as I slide tags and things in. And now we have our 2 pockets. Now because it's a pocket, I don't want to put glue on the top. So I'm just going to take it, make sure I get right up to that edge. And I'm going to glue it down. And same again. Taking it up to those 2 corners so they don't come loose. And glue them down. Now if you find your pocket is tight, whilst it's drying, slide one of your tags in just to help raise it up. Like that. Now these papers have come from a Knitwits digital set again, called Nuptials, because I'm actually making a wedding album here. And it comes with some nice sentiment cards. So I've cut a couple of these out as well. And once again, these tags have come from the Lisa Horton set called Stitched Collection Tags, which are great because you get the big main tags and a little decorative topper, which is a great way of using up the scrap bits from the edges which you haven't used. And it ties everything in together. And you get 2 lovely sizes. So I'm just going to throw in some tags. So now my front and my back have been done using these pockets. Now I'm going to be back in a second to show you why we kept that last piece. So we're ready now to do page 3 and 4. Now when we made the pockets from the front, I kept this bit, or from the second one which I've just done here, and I've used it to make a belly band. Now the belly band will hold my tags or these note cards from the set, which are fine, but maybe after time this belly band might get a bit loose. So what I've done, I've added a little magnetic closure at the bottom, so when you put your tags in, it'll keep them in place. So let's see how I did this. So to make this, you want to keep that piece from the pockets. So I got this one when I made the front pockets, and the second one when I made the back pockets. I've also cut another piece of the decorative paper, which is just going to be attached to the back, which I can do now. And then to make the closure at the bottom, I just got some circle dies. And the ones I used are probably the first dies I ever had, which were my Spellbinder Nestabilities. And I had both sets, so you can get the thin border. So I cut one in the grey cardstock out of the bigger circle, and 2 out of my decorative paper. So to make the closure on the bottom, I took my cardstock, folded it in half and creased it. And what I'm going to do now is attach 2 magnets. Now these are 1 centimetre or 10 millimetres by 0.5 millimetres, so they're very, very thin. So I've attached one to my double-sided tape, attached the other one. I've put some double-sided tape there just so it hopefully picks it up. Yep, so it's in the correct place. Now I'm going to fold one of my decorative circles in half, and I'm not going to stick that in the middle, because as you fold it you'll get a nasty crease there all the time. So what I'm actually going to do is bring in my cutter, and I'm just going to cut off the tiniest fraction from the edge. Hardly any, as you can see. And what I'm actually going to do is glue these as 2 separate pieces. I'm going to put some on my magnet. And now, because we've got that little gap in the middle, you won't get the cardstock bending, creasing, and possibly even unpeeling. So I forgot to put some tape on there. So I'm just putting them each side of the fold. And I'm just going to add some tape so it sticks for now. The glue is clogging up. And take the glue right up to the edge. And the way I lined this up, I lined the corners with the decorative bit. And that way, the bottom, because we've got this curved bit, doesn't come over too much. So I've got my 2 circles. Now, I did cut 2 for this piece, but you need 3 overall. 1 for in here, 1 for in here, and the third one is just going to decorate the front of each of these. So again, I'm just taking off the tiniest bit, adding my glue, and attaching it here. Okay, so that's where the 3rd circle went. So now I'm going to make my belly band. Now from cutting out all the little bits, I've got plenty of scrap pieces of grey. So I'm just going to glue it down. This is the one that's clogged. Going right up to the edges again. And I'm just going to stick it so each of the corners are on the edge. Because it's a deckled edge, it's not all going to be straight. I'm going to take my ruler and my craft knife, and I'm using just this metal edge here as my little measurer. So I'm just going to cut down, and again on the other side. And I'm going to grab my scissors if I can find it. Typical, he's hiding. I knew I'd put him ready somewhere. Ah, here he is, on the side. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to cut up and around my shape. So you don't have to add the grey, but I think it just adds that little bit of extra strength to your paper, decorative paper. So I'm just going to add some glue to one end and glue to the other end. Right up close. And I'm going to line the point and the back up and allow it to dry. And now we have a belly band and a stopper which flicks closed and holds everything in position. Okay, so come back in a second and I'll show you what we're going to do in the middle. So we've reached the centre of our album and we're going to make some double pockets. To make these, we're going to have 2 pieces of the cardstock and 2 pieces of the paper. Now these can be directional papers this time. There's going to be no flipping of the decorative papers, only of the cardstock. So if you've got some wording you want to go down, that'll work fine this time. So I'm just going to put my decorative pieces to the side for now. Now I'm going to cut 3 inches this time from the end. Now this won't make my bottom pocket because of the shape. So what I'm actually going to do is, this is actually going to be this side's pocket. So now I want to cut 3 inches off this one, but I want it that way, so I need to flip it upside down when I put it in. So now when I swap them over, I've got a big pocket and a small pocket for both sides. So you need to be making these pages in 2s to use up everything. So now I'm going to mat and layer. So I'm going to start off with this one. So I'm going to take my decorative paper, flip it over, and I'm going to line it up, take my pencil and draw a line. Now if I cut there now, it would be the same size as my pocket, which I don't want. So when I bring my ruler, I'm actually going to come down a tiny bit. And that'll just give me a little grey border later on. So now we can stick this onto our pocket front. And you can just see a little grey border there. So we've got the first bit of the pocket. Now I'm going to be cutting this piece. So I'm going to line it up the best that I can. I'm going to flip it over, and again draw the pencil mark, come down a tiny bit, and cut. I just caught the edge a tiny bit there, so I'm just going to trim it off. So this bit, you're only going to be seeing a tiny bit of it through the top. So that pencil line is going to go down underneath. And because that grade is extending a bit further, it's actually going to overlap, so you don't see any gaps. And this last piece is going to go straight onto my book. So here we are. So first of all, we're going to stick down make sure I get that little bit on the end. We're going to stick this flap here. Now this is going to be a pocket, so again, as all the other pockets, just around the side and the edge. So it's going to overlap that decorative piece just slightly. And then we've got another pocket for the bottom. Again, this is just going to lay flat onto the grey matten layer from earlier. And now it looks like a belly band, but in actual fact, you've got a pocket here and a pocket here. So your centre is going to be really full of pockets. So I'm just going to do it one more time. You can fast forward this bit if you don't want to see it again. So my small piece, cut. Actually, before I cut it, I'm going to do my second piece as well. Actually, that could be a better way. Far less fiddly. Now, cut. And cut. Onto the bottom one. Onto my book. This piece across the center, leaving that little border. Now what's great about these pockets is if you had a design or a decorative piece which is directional, the pattern will continue all the way down. So you can see the rows there. carries on into the first pocket. Just unclog. And that's just going to line up on the bottom layer. Now, as you can see, the pattern continues all the way through your page. Okay, so there's our center made, and this one will be filled to the brim with loads of memory cards, tags, whatever. So I'm going to be back in a second to show you the last page. So these are the last pages now, because the final two pages are already made with the pockets. Now this one is a really easy one actually, but what I wanted to do was to use up some of the scraps I already had. So I'd cut these two papers out ready, but I didn't actually know what I was going to do with them, and they were directional. So I had to think, right, what can I do? Now as you can see, I cut my circles and my two base pieces for previous pages from this A4 sheet, and I had this little bit left over. So what I did, I took my die and just placed it on the edge here, which gave me that. So I'm not cutting up an entire piece again just to make a pocket. I'm just using bits I had left over. So then I took my decorative paper, 2 inches again, lining up the straight back edge, cutting it down. Now this was directional paper, so I need to make sure I've got it the right way round. I've got those. So the bit with the pointy decorative edge, I'm going to put straight down. My glues are running out. Right. And I'm going to stick it straight onto my page. Now the back piece I'm going to stick onto that grey bit I did. Picked up the wrong one again. And I'm just going to match it up here. And again, I'm going to take my ruler to give me that slim edge, and my knife. Of course you could use a guillotine if that's what you prefer. And I'm simply gluing the back. These are really run out now. See if I can get the last little bit out. Down the back and the top and the bottom. And again, if this is directional paper, you'll have your pattern carrying on, so I can still see such an amazing couple. Love story never ends. I can actually see it written there. And then this time, those pockets and things we made, the tags, sorry, can just go in sideways. So this book is full of writing memories and stuff because of the theme. So there we are. Cover still to go. But what we've got is our pockets. I like this one. I managed to get our wedding day into the top. Using the belly band from this one to make that bit. Our circle stopper with a magnet. This came from the back pieces, so we're using waste here again. Flipping over, we had those two pockets, remembering to cut the grey there and flipping it and reversing them to there. Loads of spaces for pockets there. Scraps used here, so there's only 2 more pieces of decorative paper. And the pockets just like we did at the beginning. Hope you enjoyed, and see you again soon.